Coming up on Newswatch, a man accused of killing Kane Roush takes the stand against a man accused of the same murder. Plus, Ohio utility workers are in Florida helping restore power in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. And in sports, Ohio football regroups after a dramatic loss. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Madison Moore. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. A man hoping to cut down on his own potential prison time took the stand against another man accused in the very same murder. 3 men stand accusing of killing Kane Roush earlier Easter Sunday morning in 2021. But today we learned one of those men is attempting to his role in the crime. And as a part of the plea deal, he took the stand against the Jaquan Hill, who is on trial right now. Hall did not take the stand in his own defense today, but he was in court listening today as another man who was facing charges in Roush's murder took the stand against him. Richard Walker today testified that Hall wanted to get the victim, Roush, out of the way because he said Roush was telling on him for selling weed. And about a week before the murder, Hall said he wanted to kill Roush. Walker testified that he held Roush at gunpoint while Hall and the other defendant, Keontae Nelson, ransacked his home for money and weed. But Walker said it was Jaquan Hill who fired the fatal shot.
What happened then?
Jaquan told Keontae you know what to do.
Okay. And so after the defendant told Keontae that, what happened?
Keontae shot Kane 3 or 4 times.
Examination, the defense played a recording in which Walker told officers he wasn't there and didn't see anyone with a gun. They also said he changed his story when talking to the police. Court documents reveal that Walker has submitted a plea agreement to plead guilty to conspiracy and burglary in this case and will serve anywhere from 15 to 20 years and 6 months for the crime. Closing arguments in the Jaquan Hill trial begins tomorrow. A 53-year-old man has been charged with terroristic threats after calling in a fake bomb threat last Monday. The suspect, Danny Hughes, admitted to making a call claiming there were 2 bombs in the Chillicothe Municipal Courthouse. Hughes told police he made the threat to keep his girlfriend from appearing in court. The courthouse was evacuated, and when police arrived on scene, they searched the building, but no explosives were found. $500,000 has been awarded to the Ross County Land Reutilization Corporation to demolish and revitalize abandoned properties in Chillicothe. The funds will come out of the State Building and Demolition and Revitalization Fund. The grant application requested funds for 27 abandoned properties in Chillicothe. Additional funds to demolish the Westerly wastewater treatment plant still need approval. Proposals are being accepted for the first group of homes and is expected to begin later this month. Governor Jim Justice announced funding for the removal of abandoned and rundown structures this past Friday. Over $9 million in grants will be used in 21 West Virginia communities to remove these structures. The West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection's newly established Reclamation of Abandoned and Dilapidated Properties program is administering the funds for the project. Justice's office say the funding for the initial phase was transferred from the Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Fund.
Apologize for the brief technical difficulties that you just saw, but if you look outside, we are seeing anything but difficulties. We're seeing absolutely beautiful weather, clear skies today, and that'll luckily translate into tomorrow and to tonight as well. If we look at our local radar, really not much happening in our area. Got a little bit of humidity out here towards the west, excuse me, oh my goodness. And as that moves out towards the east, expect that high pressure to really take over. Expect very dry conditions for the rest of the week. We're looking at a beautiful week for weather. Make sure you get outside and really enjoy this because, again, we're looking at temperatures in the mid to upper 60s starting today and extending into tomorrow. Clear skies. We have a slight wind from the northeast direction, 6 miles per hour. A beautiful, beautiful day. And if you look at the rest of our region, expect those temperatures to remain in the mid to lower 60s actually. Up in Lancaster, a little bit chillier, 66 degrees. And if we look at the forecast for tomorrow, high pressure lingers. I'll talk about how that might change in my full forecast. But for now, back to you, Madison.
Andy Bashir's office reports that many Kentucky adults favor the legalization of medical marijuana. Medical Cannabis Advisory Committee, after a bill to legalize medical marijuana died in the state Senate. Governor Bashir said he supports the legalization and found that Kentuckians who suffer from chronic conditions are not getting relief from opioids and painkillers and also fear their addictive properties. Public Safety Secretary Justice and committee co-chair Carrie Harvey said the committee did not hear any opposition at the town hall meetings on the topic. Outdoor burning restrictions are now in place across West Virginia to help prevent wildfires. Restrictions limit outdoor burns between 5 p.m. to 7 a.m. from now until December 31st. Violations could result in a maximum fine of $1,000, and the West Virginia Division of Forestry says debris burning is the most common cause of wildfires in the Mountain State. Coming up, how Hurricane Ian's economic impact could spread beyond Florida. Plus, what crews from Ohio are doing to help. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
That gun took everything from me.
Gun violence is plaguing this country.
Some guy with an AR-15 just murdered my daughter.
My mom called and said David shot himself.
But what about the trauma that lingers?
I don't go to bed any night that I don't think of her being blown apart.
This is not something that you come out of unchanged.
Ricochet, an American trauma. October 5th at 10, 9 Central.
I'm jumping with joy right now.
On Finding Your Roots, actors Tony Danza.
I do feel solid, like I have a history.
And Terry Crews.
I'm actually connected to my past.
Ancestors who led hard scrabble lives.
Well, it wasn't even about livelihood, it was about eating.
Struggling toward a better future.
Nobody ever talks about this in our school books.
Man, this is a movie. This is a movie.
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
3 Cuban baseball players chase their dreams of playing in the major leagues. Facing exile, these young athletes risk it all for the smallest chance of success.
Si hubiese quedado en Cuba, quizás no tuviera la misma posibilidad que tengo ahora, pero en Cuba tuviera mis seres queridos, que son mis padres, y tuviera su apoyo.
The Last Out on POV.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
On this old house and the new Yankee workshop, master craftsman Norm Abram restored classic homes and built fine furniture. He also changed television forever.
All the interior walls have been removed and the roof has been taken off.
Now, after a storied career, Norm is hanging up his tool belt. Join us to celebrate his extraordinary career on a very special program, The House That Norm Built.
Monday at 9 on WOUB.
While others are working to rebuild after the damage of the Category 4 storm, search and rescue operations remain active in the hardest hit areas. More than 100 people have died since Hurricane Ian made landfall last week. Gloria Plismino is in Florida with the latest.
Days after Hurricane Ian tore through Florida, crews remain in active search and rescue.
We are working hard to try and safely get you out, so once we get through this stage, then we can work on rebuilding.
More than 1,600 people have been rescued from Ian's wake so far, according to Florida's governor. Ian made landfall as a Category 4 storm last Wednesday, decimating coastal towns, flooding inland cities, and completely cutting off island communities.
There's nothing left. I don't know. I am optimistic. It's heartbreaking for all those families, for all those businesses. That's why very sad.
Floridians now face the daunting task of rebuilding as they return to unrecognizable cities and towns.
It does add to the complexity of the process. It's been hard to get things here with I-75 shut down. That's been an issue. And the 62% of our population that's over 65 is a problem. And that problem means they need a lot more care and assistance.
Power outages are also hindering recovery efforts. Florida Power and Light says they are working around the clock, aiming to have electricity restored to most by the end of the week.
Filled with sand, debris, patio furniture that ended up in the electrical vault. And this is some of the challenges that our crews have in actually restoring power.
In Fort Myers Beach, Florida, I'm Gloria Pasmino reporting.
Utility workers from Ohio are in Florida today helping restore power in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian. Utility crews from Ohio with partners in Kentucky and Indiana are working to help with power outages across Florida. This is part of a collaboration of utility companies from 33 states. According to the Edison Electric Institute, a group that represents U.S. investor-owned electric companies, there are nearly 45,000 utility workers in Florida to help assist with the damage of the storm. That includes line workers, support staff, damage assessment workers, and tree and vegetation professionals. At its peak, there were 2.7 million customers without power. Edison Electric says power has been restored to about half of those people. As the death toll climbs, some are starting to ask whether earlier evacuation orders could have saved lives. The death toll from Hurricane Ian is rising, especially around Fort Myers, Florida. Lee County officials ordered evacuations less than 24 hours before landfall. That was a day after some neighboring counties and 2 days after storm surge warnings. Governor Ron DeSantis points out earlier forecasts had centered on Tampa. He also notes Lee County residents could have gone to shelters. Senator Rick Scott of Florida was the state's governor through several hurricanes. He says it's important to evaluate the emergency response to each major storm. Hurricane Ian has unleashed mass destruction across multiple states, and the effects of the storm are far from over. Hurricane Ian is expected to deliver a sharp blow to Florida's economy in the short run and may even put a dent in the national economy. Chris Wynn has the latest from the nation's capital.
The wrath of Hurricane Ian leaving nothing behind for many.
It's really tough down here. It's an unbelievable loss of life, and we still have people that they hope are alive that they're still trying to rescue. So please pray for each one of those.
Fort Myers Beach no longer exists. I mean, it'll have to be rebuilt. It'll be something different. It was a slice of old Florida that you can't recapture.
On top of dealing with mass destruction comes a new threat: scams. In hard-hit Fort Myers, police are warning of possible repair, tree service, and water testing and treatment scams. And in Orange County, officials are warning people to not fall for FEMA insurance scams.
You walk into someone's house and you try to prey on someone who just took a hit like this, I can guarantee you, as the sheriff, you will walk in, you will be carried out. I ain't playing.
Now, the impact of Ian has local economies on track to take a severe hit. The shutdown of major tourist destinations like theme parks and beaches, along with the disruption of energy production and the destruction of crops in the region, including Florida's citrus industry, is triggering the potential slash of up to 3 percentage points from Florida's third quarter gross domestic product growth, according to Oxford Economics. In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
President Joe Biden is hailing Puerto Rico's resiliency following Hurricane Fiona.
We know that the climate crisis and more extreme weather are going to continue to hit this island and hit the United States overall. And as we rebuild, we have to ensure that we build it to last.
The president, in a visit to the Ponce region of Puerto Rico, which was significantly damaged by Fiona, announced a $60 million investment for coastal areas. The funds would shore up levees and flood walls and help fund a new flood warning system to help residents better prepare for future storms. Biden says when the next hurricane hits, Puerto Rico will be ready. Biden will be heading to Florida on Wednesday after his trip to Puerto Rico to survey the damage from Hurricane Ian. The CDC officials are...
And in my full forecast, I'll talk to you a little bit about some lovely frost advisories that we're seeing in the northern parts of our region. Expect that that to allow temperatures to drop heading into the rest of the week. But for now, make sure you check us out on social media, on YouTube, Instagram, as well as on Twitter.
An American Experience. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, they were a thriving black community in a segregated world. But in 1921, it would all but disappear.
I remember the white people coming in with torches, setting our house on fire.
They were shooting from airplanes. My husband said, "Baby, we've lost everything we had."
Going back to T-Town on American Experience.
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
On Rivers of Life, discover the river that connects more countries than any other on Earth, the Danube. A river of magical surprises, of ancient kingdoms, and glorious riches. Journey down the Danube, Europe's great waterway. Rivers of Life, Wednesday on PBS and the PBS app.
It's one of the most challenging viruses scientists have ever faced.
HIV is very clever. The virus can mutate where medication stops working.
After decades of innovations,
the science that's developed is remarkable.
Can we finally end the epidemic?
That is what I want to see in my lifetime, and I absolutely know I can.
Ending HIV in America.
We have the tools to stop it. Let's do it.
On Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
That gun took everything from me.
Gun violence is plaguing this country.
Some guy with an AR-15 just murdered my daughter.
My mom called and said David shot himself.
But what about the trauma that lingers?
I don't go to bed any night that I don't think of her being blown apart.
This is not something that you come out of unchanged.
Ricochet, an American trauma. October 5th at 10, 9 Central.
Welcome back to Newswatch, and if you look outside your window, you can actually start seeing that temperature that we've seen today has been very, very nice. Contrary to what you're seeing right now, these are the overnight lows from last night. As you can see, we warmed up really quickly this morning, all the way to 68 degrees. And as we head throughout the night tonight, expect that to drop a little bit. But right now in Athens and today, we saw a high of 67 degrees, sunny skies, absolutely beautiful. And that temperature is going to get a little bitter tonight, so make sure you grab that coat heading out the door. Again, I brought up the local radar to really show just how nice it is. Not really much happening above us at the moment across the entirety of the viewing area. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful skies all around. You couldn't ask for anything better. Even out here towards our west, expect this to translate towards the east. And overall, we're tracking high pressure now and for the rest of the week. So again, you're really going to want to take advantage of this. With high pressure, however, comes very clear skies, allowing a lot of the heat to escape, making for really colder temperatures heading out the door tonight. 38 degrees is that low for tonight, partly cloudy skies, but overall, again, we're tracking some very nice weather over the next couple of days. As that high pressure kind of sits above us, it'll stay here for tomorrow and well into the rest of the week. So again, very nice weather tomorrow. We're reaching temperatures into the upper 60s tomorrow. 68 degrees is the high. That temperature remains pretty low overnight tomorrow. Mostly sunny skies. But again, we're starting to catch that glimpse of very autumnal seasonal temperatures, again with that high being in the upper 60s and that low being in the upper 30s. So again, we're seeing some very big disparities, especially looking at the 3-day forecast. You can see that that temperature gets pretty low Tuesday night. It's going to spike up a little bit into the middle 70s actually by Thursday, 74 degrees, partly sunny skies. And if we look ahead at our weekend, expect those temperatures to start dropping. We are tracking a cold front to move through, a weak cold front, bringing the presence of clouds and allowing those cooler temperatures to really invade our region. And actually, if you look at Saturday, that temperature is looking at 33 degrees. We're really close to that freezing point. And so if we look at the frost advisories for the rest of the area, you can see in our northern regions, up here in the white, it really indicates that that frost advisory is in effect for northern parts of our viewing area, as well as the special weather statement in pink. So expect those cooler temperatures to bring those really frost-like conditions, especially this weekend. We are tracking some very bitter temperatures. Grab a jacket as you head out the door. That's all I have for my full forecast. Back to you, Madison.
Called a pioneer in recovering ancient DNA, Swedish geneticist Svante Pääbo was just awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine. Members of the prize committee say Pääbo, quote, accomplished something seemingly impossible when he sequenced the first Neanderthal genome in 2010 and discovered that Homo sapiens interbred with Neanderthals, something that scientists argued for years. Pääbo's work showed that most of us have ancient DNA, which could be medically important, not to mention it gave rise to an entirely new scientific discipline called paleogenomics. Nobel Prizes will continue to be announced throughout the week in physics, chemistry, literature, and economics, with the Nobel Peace Prize winner set to be announced Friday. The Centers for Disease Control is calling on doctors to be on the lookout for a respiratory illness that's on the rise and may be linked to more cases of a rare paralyzing condition. Mandy Gaither has more on the illness and what parents need to know.
In the summer and fall, enteroviruses are very common in U.S. children.
Cold, cough, congestion, difficulty breathing, maybe worsening of asthma.
The CDC reports a rise in respiratory illnesses and visits to the emergency room in youth over the summer, and the agency is now warning doctors and parents to be on the lookout for an enterovirus called D68 that may be linked to more cases of a rare paralyzing condition called acute flaccid myelitis, or AFM.
This is what happens when this virus affects a part of the brain.
When that happens, Cleveland Clinic Dr. Perva Grover says it affects the muscles. She says parents should look out for symptoms, which can include drooping eyelids, numbness and tingling of arms and legs, and loss of muscle tone.
Those can be small and subtle, so if you're not looking, you might miss the initial stages, but eventually the devastation continues to become rather catastrophic.
Grover says the weakening of the muscles may make it harder for a child suffering from AFM to breathe. The condition requires doctors to take extra steps to diagnose.
It's extremely important to diagnose them in a timely fashion.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
In addition to testing for AFM, the CDC is urging healthcare providers to test for poliovirus in people suspected of having AFM because of the similarity in symptoms.
Coming up in sports, how the Bobcats are reacting after their dramatic overtime loss. That story when Newswatch returns.
On Rivers of Life, discover the river that connects more countries than any other on Earth, the Danube. A river of magical surprises, of ancient kingdoms, and glorious riches. Journey down the Danube, Europe's great waterway. Rivers of Life, Wednesday on PBS and the PBS app.
Southeast Ohio football is as exciting as ever, and Gridiron Glory covers all the action from your team. 8 conferences bring the biggest stories from the 740, whether it's on our show every Friday night or on social media as one of our many digital games. So follow along, because Gridiron Glory is about more than just winning. It's community, it's pride, and it's tradition. So remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
On American Experience. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, they were a thriving black community in a segregated world. But in 1921, it would all but disappear.
I remember the white people coming in with torches, setting our house on fire.
They were shooting from airplanes. My husband said, baby, we've lost everything we had.
Going back to T-Town on American Experience.
Saturday at 9 on WOUB.
It's one of the most challenging viruses scientists have ever faced.
HIV is very clever. The virus can mutate where medication stops working.
After decades of innovations,
The science that's developed is remarkable.
can we finally end the epidemic?
That is what I want to see in my lifetime, and I absolutely know I can.
Ending HIV in America.
We have the tools to stop it. Let's do it.
On Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Good evening and welcome back. I'm Haley Hollinger. This weekend, Ohio football took on Kent State at Kent.
Both teams fought hard and stayed within one score of each other for most of the game. They found themselves tied at 24 in the fourth quarter and went into overtime play. The Flashes scored 4 plays and going up 31-24, the Bobcats were unable to recover and Kent State took the victory. Coach Tim Alvin says the team just needs to keep working hard.
Any magic words that's going to make the team feel better, but I think we can win moving forward with the effort. And
Ohio plays Akron at Peden Stadium on Saturday for their homecoming matchup. Yesterday, Ohio women's soccer traveled for their battle against Eastern Michigan. The Bobcats shot 7 shots in the first half while the Eagles took 11. Both squads ended the first half with 1 goal on the board. After the half, neither team scored until the 52nd minute, Ohio's Reagan Berg breaking the silence. The Eagles would score once more but be bested by the Bobcats. Ohio won the match 3-2, Berg with all 3 goals and Abby Townsend and Aubrey Ray each with 1 assist. The Ohio field hockey team played Michigan State on Sunday. The Bobcats came in with a 5-4 overall record, looking to break their losing streak. Both teams locked down on defense all game, making it difficult for either team to score. In the first 15 minutes, the Bobcats were up 1-0. In the second half, the Spartans were able to find holes in Ohio's high-pressure defense. They scored 2 goals in the third, going up 2-1 to win the match. Head coach Allie Johnson said that she is ever confident in her team.
We're really good, and my team is awesome. That's what I take from this. And you know, I thought we should have had a stroke, and I'll fight that until I probably die. But yeah, I mean, that's hockey.
The women's field hockey team takes on the Ball State Cardinals this Friday at Ball State. Ohio hockey remains undefeated after sweeping the Alabama Frozen Tide. The Bobcats came in ready to go, getting multiple looks at the net, but each time Alabama goalkeeper Elijah Gibbons was there for the save. Both teams found themselves at a defensive standstill for the majority of the match, but this subsided in the third period as Ohio began to score. In the last 2 periods, the Bobcats would go up 4-0 to win the match. Coach Lionel Maroon says their ability to play physical and get smart helped them win.
I think we're a big, strong team, and we have speed, so we're not afraid to play a physical game. I think they were a little frustrated, and you know, it was a fine line for us not to lose our heads, but the guys did a great job.
This upcoming weekend, the hockey team will be on the road facing off against Illinois. Ohio volleyball is trying to avoid dropping 500 after dropping 2 straight to the Bowling Green Falcons. BG swept the Bobcats 3-0 on Friday. Ohio put up a better fight on Saturday, but still came up short. Their next match is set for Thursday against the Central Michigan Chippewas. I'm Haley Hollinger, and that's it for sports. Back to you. Thank you, Haley. And then we're going to hand it over to Erin for final weather.
Thank you, Madison. And looking at your weather for the last time tonight, expect those lows to get into the upper 30s. Grab that jacket. We're looking at partly cloudy skies. But luckily tomorrow, temperatures are expected to rise all the way up to 68 degrees here in Athens. And for the majority of our region, expect those temperatures to remain very, very warm. A very nice day tomorrow. Make sure you take advantage of that because, again, frost advisories are moving into our area. And that is expected to translate into Athens later this weekend because if you look at the 7-day, those low temperatures, or overnight temperatures, are dropping into the lower 30s, very, very close to that freezing point, especially on Saturday. We're looking at 33 degrees being the low, but overall, we're looking at a very nice rest of your week heading into the weekend.
And finally tonight, it's an unbelievable sight in Albuquerque. Check out the sky filled with hot air balloons. The annual Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta kicked off Saturday. For the last 5 decades, the first week of October is a chance for kids and adults to enjoy the start of fall. Hundreds of balloons take flight from the Balloon Fiesta Park. It's just $10 to attend. The event runs through until the 8th of October. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. And for all of us here at Newswatch, I'm Madison Moore. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org or follow us on social media. Have a great night. Good.